Hello, hello, hello. It's Toria Howard, the real estate educator, here to educate you. Back for another week of some great information for you to use to build wealth for your family. So I always tell people that I am passionate about this because I understand the financial side of purchasing a home, the emotional and the financial side. I was on both sides of it. Yes, I am a licensed real estate agent here in the beautiful city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. But just because I'm in Detroit does not mean I cannot assist you with getting the education you need to go back to whatever state or city you're in to find that perfect real estate agent for you. And I also can help you with that, with showing you the different people that I know from the different cities and states, from east, west, north, south, wherever you are. I'm pretty sure I know someone there. So I'm passionate about it because I lost my first home. And I want people to get the foundation of purchasing a home and not be fearful or anything of that nature. Because the thing is, it's not a fear thing, it's a strategy thing. So I lost my first home in a short sale because I did not have financial literacy. So that's one of the reasons why I wrote my book, Keys to Your Castle, so that you can have a financial strategy. But we'll talk about that later. So today we're talking about the financial side of home ownership that no one teaches, that no one taught me, so I'm going to teach you. I am an educator and I've been doing this since 2003, Lord. And I have a passion for transforming minds and people and all of the things. So most people spend months learning how to get approval for a mortgage, but almost no one teaches you what happens after you get the keys. That is the problem. It's more or less, like when someone puts you on a bike and you know how to pedal, maybe you know how to steer, and they just push you down the street, and then you got to figure out how to get home. That's how it was for me. My dad did that to me, by the way. So that's why I remember that story. That analogy just made me realize, that's what it is when you're buying a home. You have somebody there to guide you, show you how to do the things that you need to get a mortgage, but after that it's over with. It's over on you. And that's exactly why some homeowners struggle financially. So when I bought my first home, I thought I had it made. I had the keys, I had the mortgage, I had the address, but I had no financial strategy. And I had to realize that it's a lot that comes with purchasing a home because I didn't have an emergency fund. It's a 1% rule that I always talk about in my videos. You can go back and watch them. But you need 1% of your home's value in a high yield and savings account saved every single year for your maintenance, your emergency maintenance, or anything else that happens with your home. I didn't understand the concept of how real estate appreciated. So I sold my home too quickly and I fumbled almost $200,000. I bought my home for $150,000. And if I would have stayed in there, had the financial strategy and paid it down, because it was 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, I would have been able to sell that house for almost 350,000. The equity that I would have had, even if I would have kept it, equity I would have had, and also if I would have sold it, it was just almost $200,000 I fumbled. So I'm teaching financial literacy on this side. I know a lot of realtors, just want to get you in the home. I'm not talking about anybody that does that because that's our job. We're supposed to get you into a home. The financial literacy part is on you. But because I experienced the emotional and the financial side of it, I choose to teach my clients financial literacy because I don't want you to be house poor like I was. I was not in a good situation where I had the strategy to keep my home. Things kept breaking down. I had home warranty, I had homeowners insurance, but we had a big flood in our home when we first moved in there. And it was like a $20,000 fee for our insurance company. And we had just bought the home in March. And well, I bought the home in March. And then I ended up having that flood in my home that flooded top to bottom in May. So they look, I didn't pay that much into it or anything at all. So that anytime I had something go wrong and I had to go use my renter's insurance, my homeowner's insurance, I wasn't able to because they always had a problem with that claim because there's so much money, right? So it's so many different avenues because a lot of, especially the way insurance is set up now, a lot of insurance companies are gonna find a way not to pay. So you have to have that emergency fund. I didn't factor in utilities, I didn't call the utility company and see how much the utilities were going to cost, average. If you get an average and you kind of overestimate, you have your budget. I didn't do some of the other things that I was supposed to do that I teach my clients. Like I said, the 1% rule, knowing the utilities, understanding how appreciation works. I bought in a great area. I just didn't understand how appreciation works. And if I would have known how appreciation worked, I would have never sold my home. I would have, you know, kept it. But appreciation grows 1 to 5% on average. But if you're in some of these other cities, you can get 7 to 20% in some areas, depending on where you are. So the experience changed how I teach home ownership. That's the reason why I was able to, be so passionate about it because of that matter, because of what happened to me. So the next thing I want to talk about is hidden costs. Property taxes do increase. So when your value increases, your property tax increase. So for instance, if you purchase a home for 200,000 and you bought an area that's appreciating because that's what you're supposed to do, then you got to understand your property taxes are going to go up with that value. So you need to make sure that you're having a buffer in there that understands that change, because you have to change your 1% rule of your emergency fund on that, and also your housing expenses is going to go up. Repairs do have to happen. That's why I always teach my clients, how to scan a home when they first look at it. I walk with them and I point out different things, and I make sure that they're doing their quarterly, walkthroughs of their home, looking at certain things through certain seasons, looking for foundation issues, roof issues, plumbing and electrical issues, those different types of things you need to be able to spot early. And if you're doing these checks, like I do, I have on my home buyer checklist, then you'll be able to catch certain things without having to pay a hefty cost for it. And that's what I didn't do. I let my HVAC, it's five major things that cost a lot in a home. And that's roof, foundation, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. And you have to make sure that you are looking at these things, know when your roof was put, usually you'll know when the roof was put on because it typically your real estate agent should ask, but you should know to ask, when that has to be replaced, knowing that, if you get a lot of water on your roof, what kind of material that is, it can damage shingles, because we have a lot of, snow and water and things that come in Detroit. So you have to know, what's going on up there. So doing those roof checks and those roof scans, having people come out, having experts come out to look at it. Quarterly, typically if it's your roof, I would say that have somebody come look at it in the spring after all the snow melts, and then also before the first snowfall. So like maybe late fall, winter, so you'll know what's going on up there. If you have a lot of trees, I just learned this. If you have a lot of trees that cover your roof, it could cause it where it doesn't dry. So your shingles can be damaged. So you need to make sure that you're mindful of these certain things. It's not to scare you, but to prepare you. So don't take this as an overwhelm or thinking that this is like to scare you. No, this is to prepare you. And another thing is insurance changes. So that's why every year you should always do an assessment. Your life should be set up like a business. And people don't like to hear that, but we work for people and they have a budget. They have quarterly meetings, they have yearly meetings, they do assessments of different things. We should be doing the same thing with our lives and our homes. So every year you should be assessing your insurance package with your insurance company, comparing it to other companies to see who gives you the best rate. They're not loyal. And you don't have to be. So if if you find a better deal for your insurance somewhere else that gives you the right coverage that you need, then definitely switch it up. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to make sure that it's covering the things that you need to cover. Because some flood insurance is outside of regular homeowner insurance. Earthquake insurance sometimes is not included if you're in the area that is a fault line, like Memphis. Um, wind insurance might not be included, anything that gets damaged by the wind. So you have to make sure. And then you have those items that you want to protect, those items that you want to protect, like if you have like fine jewelry and, expensive watches and expensive things, that but it's a separate rider. So you need to know your coverage and understand what you need. So the mortgage payment is only the one part of home ownership. And it's okay. We have other expenses in life. You just have to have a strategy. So you have your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, your utilities, because your insurance is looped in with your mortgage, and then your emergency fund. That's the only cost that you should be, concerning yourself about. So the financial literacy part is the hugest part. So having those emergency funds is always great. So what you would do with that is this is not for, I'm not talking about for the home itself. This is for you, your emergency fund for your family. So if something happens, you will have 3 months, 6 months, and this doesn't have to happen all at once. I'm just telling you what the financial strategy is. Like once you get in your home, you should always have your budget include an emergency fund where you take a certain amount of your income and putting it in, I would say high yield and savings accounts, or if you want to invest in something that's like IRAs or stock market, you want to hold it there, whatever the case may be, long as you can get to it when you need to. And you need to make sure that you're having a plan for that. So the emergency fund is just helping you be able to, pay some of your bills if something happens with your job or someone gets ill or, things of that nature. Because, medical insurance don't pay for everything. Sometimes you need it to help others. So whatever the case may be, you need to have that separate emergency fund. And that should all it be for. The 1% homeowner rule is this. You should save 1% of your home value in a high yield savings account every single year. So for instance, if your home is worth $350,000, you should have $3,500 every year. And that's not every month. Every single year you want to save 3,500. So you do the math. Let's do the math, right? I'm not a mathematician, I'm an English teacher. So, if you say 350, 3,500, and that's divided by 12, that's $290.66 you have to save every month. And if maybe you do it biweekly, however the case may be, take it out your check. But that is something that you should be putting to the side for, emergency maintenance or anything else that could arise with your home. And it also shows like if you're thinking like an investor and you want to take your equity and use it for to purchase another property, pull it or whatever, having that access to that collateral as well, it shows that you in good faith that you will be able to pay them back. And you have to have a budget. It's a must. We should have a budget regardless if you are a renter or a homeowner. A budget is essential. You have to know, a lot of times we know what's coming in, but doing the swiping and the subscriptions and the things that we miss and the hidden fees and all of that, how many of you have, looked up and like, where did my money go? Because somebody came and swiped you because you forgot about a subscription, or your children put your card on something that you didn't know. So it's always something that's going to occur. So you have to make sure that you know what's coming in and coming out, the inflow and the outflow. So that's what you're thinking about. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is talking about a wealth strategy. Yes, you can build wealth with your own home. I know, I know, I know. You got so many people out there telling you that you can't buy, don't buy this, don't buy that. The thing is, it depends on your circumstances, right? Now, this is something that me and my family are thinking about doing. We're thinking about buying a duplex and living together. one on, side by side or, top to bottom. I know top to bottom is really not that great, but in the area in which I, would be close and convenient, that's where they are. You can buy a home with your family, still have your own home, and you still be a homeowner, or you can buy a duplex on your own. And if it fits your family dynamic, because I know here a lot of duplexes are small. So, you might have a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, maybe a three, but it has one bathroom typically. And you rent out the other side. That's still single family homes are 4 units or less. So you can buy a 4 unit and live in one and rent out the other ones. You can buy a 2 unit and live in one and rent out the other one. You can buy a 3 unit, rent out the two and live in one. So it doesn't have to be a single family home. Technically, just by having the idea of a single family home, it can still be classified as a single family home by having multiple units in one building. That's still considered a single family home as long as it doesn't go over 4. So you need to be understanding that you can build wealth by being a landlord, with other people paying your mortgage. If they're not paying the whole mortgage, then you didn't buy right. But you got to think like an investor, regardless of what you're going to do, regardless if you're going to buy a multi-unit or if you're going to buy a single family home, you want to know that the equity is going to grow. By the first way that the equity grows is through you paying your mortgage down and also buying in that area that is going to appreciate. Your appreciation is key. So like here, if you're buying along the Joe Louis Greenbelt, which is 28 zip codes to choose from, you know for sure that your home values are going to increase. If you're buying in areas where they have multi-million-dollar development plans in your area and you see new businesses popping up, you see all of these different things coming about, all of these new stores, new developments, especially if you see government buildings and all of that, they buy real estate strategically because they know that these things are moving. So pay attention to your surroundings and see where the puck is going, as they say, right? Not where it is. So if you buy in those type of areas, of course, tax is going to increase. So your, home value is going to increase, your home value is going to increase, which makes your taxes increase. But the appreciation is still going to be good on your side because you have been preparing, because you've been watching my videos, you've been preparing for that buffer and understanding that that could occur. So making sure that you have, buying in an area that has the appreciation and you have a financial plan. You always have an exit strategy. So if you plan on this being your forever home, okay, so I'm going to buy an area where I know that's going to appreciate and I pay down my mortgage and I'll be able to use this money on my house, my equity, to be able to invest in other assets, to be able to, maybe you're going to invest in your children's college education or whatever the case may be. As long as it should be something giving you ROI. Are you going to take a return on your investment, or are you going to use that money to fix up your home to increase the value even more? Whatever that is, if that is yes, your strategy, forever home. Now, if you know this is something temporary and you only want to stay for a couple years, you need to know how much it rents for, how much it will sell for in the future. Predictions, of course. With the rent is going to be pretty accurate if you know. So how much it rent for, how much it can sell for within that time frame. What is the short-term rental rates? So you want to know like what you can do. And then of course you're building the equity. So if you want to keep that home and move out of it, put some other people in there for them to rent it, using that equity to help purchase your next home. Maybe it's your dream home. Maybe you do it again. Maybe you do it twice, or you do every 2 years, you buy and stay and move. You can do that. And then the third year you will, you'll have your mansion. It's like Monopoly. Well, I know it's 4 houses. It's for a mansion, for a hotel in Monopoly. So maybe you do it 4 times and get your hotel. Maybe that'll be so your home's buying your other home, your dream home. That's what the financial strategy needs to be. You need to make sure that you're thinking like an investor. So if you want to learn the financial side of home ownership, I'm teaching a free masterclass at the end of this month. It will be March 29th it's Sunday, March 29th at 7 p.m. Comment the word home and I will send you we get your information to send you the link to join that free masterclass. And If you can't attend a masterclass, you can also get a pre-order of my book, Keys to Your Castle, where I'm showing you the financial strategies that you need before you get the keys and after. So it's a workbook style book. My background is fading me out, but it's a work style, work page, workbook style book so that you can write in it, you can do whatever it is that you need to do. It is all that you need. Plus, you get free downloads of, I'm not gonna, it's a bonus. So you get free downloads of financial strategy spreadsheets that I've created. You can just plug and go and you'll see what your numbers are. I have a lot of different things that is added, included in this. So get your copy today. You can comment Castle for that link as well. So that's it for me. I will see you back again. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. I should have said it at the beginning, but I'm saying it at the end. Hopefully you watched it to the end and share this with someone who needs this knowledge. Have an amazing day.